Okay, folks, we're sort of here, I think. I got to make sure we have sound because I'm not positive of that. Um, Let me make sure there has to be sound. There's always sound. So um, we're doing things a little differently, as you can tell this time. There's no split screen, and Diane Hill is sitting right here. In case you guys haven't figured out, Diane is not only a frequent contributor to my books, but also my lovely wife. So we managed to just do it with one screen. Say hi.
Hi.
So we're here today to talk about Diane's stories in the Spooky Houses book, which I'm terrible at. You try it. See, it isn't as easy as it looks. So, yeah, let's go ahead and why don't you tell everybody about your two stories in here?
Uh, One of them is about Tinker Swiss Cottage. I had the pleasure of taking a tour through there. I think it was 2 summers ago. 2 summers ago, I think.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah, so it was hot, so it was summer, and I was just amazed. I haven't been in there since the '80s, and the only thing I expected to see ghosts floating around and apparitions, but I didn't see that. But I went to take a picture with my phone, and all of a sudden the charge went down to 67% or 63. And I always have my phone charged, especially when I'm leaving the house, so it was up in the high 90s. And every time I tried to take a picture, the phone just shut off. Like, okay, something doesn't want me to take a picture. Every time I tried it, the same thing, the phone just shut off. So Gary tried it with his video camera, and I can't remember, did it just not work,
It
or?
just shut off every single time we tried to turn it on. It would power up and then just power right back off.
Well, we never got any pictures.
Well, no, I took pictures with my digital SLR.
Well, I didn't get it. I
which I
wanted to
used for the
get
book.
some.
No, you didn't get any.
But and then when we got back outside, the phone worked fine again. Was it charged back up?
Yeah. And
That's
the
so
video
weird.
camera worked fine. As soon as we were in the car, I tried the
Yeah,
video
so
camera.
something did not want us to take a picture. So we walked out on the bridge, and I looked up at the house, and I kind of wanted to see a figure or something in front of the window, but I never saw anything. But that phone thing was weird.
So that's the Tinker Swiss Cottage story, and you talked about the history of the place, and
Yes.
The history of the hauntings and that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. There was one instance we saw there where our tour guide Samantha Hockman, I hope I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. I've only seen it spelled out. In any event, she pointed out that a lot of times the silverware will be rearranged.
Oh.
Little things will be changed.
Yeah.
And I actually, when we did that, I think there's actually, I don't remember if there's the picture. I think the picture is in here where you can see where one of the pieces of silverware was moved. And she said that every time they do the close up for the day, they make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. So she had to get gloves on and move the piece of silverware over to where it was supposed to be. So that was, kind of interesting. So your other story is called The Tale of Two Homes.
Mm-hmm.
And why don't you tell them about that?
Okay. I lived in a 99-year-old house in Rockford, and before we moved in, actually, start before that. We moved in. My daughter was 12, I think, 11 or 12. I can't remember the exact age. And she was there. They were both great kids, and we moved in, and all of a sudden, it was like something was possessing her. She went like overnight from wonderful to little miss, you can't tell me what to do, and to very rebellious, and that just wasn't like her. And I thought that was really strange. And then the TV, we would go to bed at night and turn the TV off, and every morning we'd wake up, it was on and on MTV, and the kids didn't watch MTV. And I just thought that was really strange. No objects were moved, but that was just very weird. And one night we were all sitting in the living room watching TV, and we had 2 cats and a dog, and both cats were staring up at the ceiling. And that's not like them to just do that. And the dog went to the bottom of the stairs and started growling. And so, of course, I sent the then husband up there to look, and I wasn't going to go up. Whatever was up there can get him first. He went up there and pushed the switch on the wall, and there was nothing up there. I think he thought we'd lost our minds. So he came back down, and the dog continued to growl, and the cats backed off a little bit. They were still very alert. something was going on. And when I was home alone, my dog wouldn't leave my side. She would sit at my feet and push against me. Like, don't move around too much. Something's not right. And before we moved in, the neighbors said the shades would go up and down in the dining room, and they'd hear a woman screaming, and they'd see a ghostly figure walk past both of the windows. And maybe if they told us this before we moved in, we wouldn't have bought it. But then I lived in an apartment on South Chicago in Rockford, and I lived alone, but I never felt like I was alone. I would be vacuuming, and all of a sudden, it's just like somebody was behind me. I'd just drop the vacuum, and I'd back up against the wall, breathing really heavily. There was no one there. But there was always this feeling that someone was right behind me. I had my choice of 3 bedrooms, and I just switch them around whenever the mood hit me. And in one of the bedrooms, I had 2 locks on the downstairs door and 1 lock on the upstairs door, but I still locked the bedroom door because whatever was out there, I was afraid was going to come in and get me. It just scared me to sleep with the door unlocked. Later on, somebody moved in there several years later, and their son died there. I can't remember how he died.
Oh, wasn't that the one with the driveway where the car accidentally ran him over in the driveway?
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That was just a very. I'd leave in the morning and I'd look around and be like, I got to come home to this. I don't know why. It was a beautiful apartment, but it just really scared me.
I think that the kid getting killed, I think, actually happened. These 2 stories were actually originally published in the first one, The Tale of Two Homes, was in Spooky Rockford, the first edition. The Tinker Swiss Cottage was originally in Spooky Rockford too. And I think that kid getting killed actually happened after you wrote that story, didn't it?
No.
No, it was it.
No.
Did you mention in there? I didn't remember.
No, actually, I don't think I did. Maybe it did occur after.
I thought it was afterwards.
Yeah, I think it was. But I heard about that after. And also another thing, as when Gary and I were still dating, I told him, I used to live in this house on this street. I'm not going to tell you which one. I'm just going to drive down. I'm not even going to tell you what side of the street it's on. And I want you to pick out the house. And we're driving, and my heart started beating heavier as we're getting towards the house. And I didn't slow down, and he looked around and he said, it's that one. And he picked out the exact house. And boy, major goosebumps that day. Wow. And also the house on North Court, I took him down the alley. There's a big alley behind the garage, behind the house. And I took him down there. The house had been empty for a while after we left. And I stopped, and he said, keep going. Don't stop. Get out of here as fast as you can. I looked up at the house, and it just looked so ominous. It was just, I don't know. It was like all the windows were black. It scared the heck out of me. That he just told me to just get out of there as fast as possible. Boy, I couldn't drive down that alley fast enough.
So,
I'm sorry, I forgot something else about the house.
Okay. No, go ahead.
After we moved out, it had steam heat, and the furnace had to be bled, or it would overheat, or it would start screaming like I don't know. And that's not the sound the neighbors heard, just to be clear. But I was afraid the furnace would blow up if it didn't get bled, because it would get too much water in it, and the heat would go up really high. So I would go over there once a week to bleed the furnace, just, I don't know, because I'm a nice person like that, I guess. But I went over there once, and my daughter and I were standing in the dining room, and we saw this figure in the kitchen moving. And I don't know if it was a person in it, because it had gotten around that the house was empty, because we found a sleeping bag on the floor in the basement that wasn't ours. And so I don't know if it was someone in there. My daughter and I ran out of that house so fast. We jumped down all 4 stairs. I hopped over the hood of the car, and we sped out of there, and I've never been back. I don't know what that was, but I wasn't sticking around to find out. And the neighbor spent the night at that house once, my daughter's friend, and she left the house screaming, just ran down the stairs, left both doors open. She said that she woke up and there was a figure floating above my daughter's bed, floating above her head, just floating. And that just scared her. She went out in the hallway, and there was this figure of this little boy. I can't remember if it was the boy and the woman.
I think you said the boy and the woman.
Floating down the hallway towards her. She was just absolutely terrified. She said she's never spending the night again. Well, I went to do some research on that house, and a lady and a young boy had died in there long, long time ago. And oh, I'm glad I got out of that house, because that was scary. And I know people might think, well, there's an explanation for all of this. Yeah, there's an explanation. Something was in there trying to get us. I don't know, but it was very scary.
Now, I wanted to mention, we don't know yet for sure which ones, or if it's just going to be, well, if it's just going to be one. There's a book I'm working on now. Well, I've just gotten submissions in for it, called Horrifying Holidays. It's going to be spooky Christmas type stories.
Ooh.
And I've got some fiction stuff written for it. I've got a poem from Frank Kaufman, a fiction story from Stephen Osborne, and Glenn Tilson is going to be finishing up a story for it. What I tend to do with these is I will get whatever submissions I have. I'll look to see how much I have, and then I'll see what I can fill in, either with nonfiction stuff, which none of the nonfiction is written yet, or also with some public domain stuff. And so when I need some nonfiction stuff, Diane will help me fill those in. She's great at doing research and writing this stuff up. So she'll be filling in. I know there's at least one she's going to do about a Christmas haunting at a underground train station in England. So that'll be one. We'll see if there's some more. I know I come across some other things. So keep an eye out for those. That'll be brand new stories for Horrifying Holidays when that comes out. But in the meantime, that's not really what we're here to talk about. But another future effort is Diane is working on her first book. You want to talk to people about that?
Okay. I'm not going to give away the title, because I'm afraid somebody will think, oh, that's a great title, and she hasn't written the book yet, and then they'll hurry and write a book and use that title, and I don't want to give away the title. But it's about living with atypical anorexia, which is living with anorexia but at a higher weight. And I don't know how much detail you want me to go into.
As much as you want.
Okay. It's just about my life living with that, and the fact that usually if you're fat, and I'm not use euphemisms here, it's fat. It's not, overweight or obese, it's fat. And usually if you're fat and you start losing weight, the doctors are, oh, that's great. You're doing a great job. Congratulations. They don't care how you do it. I'm using my hands and no one can see me. They don't care how you do it, as long as you do it, because, it's so deadly. So when I started losing like 3 to 4 pounds a week, luckily my doctor was wise enough to say, something's not right here. This is not right. I ended up losing almost 100 pounds in less than 9 months by just eating very little. And if my doctor hadn't recognized the problem I had and got me into treatment and hospitalized and tube fed me, I don't think I'd be here today. When I went into treatment, they gave me, I think it was 3 months or 6 months to live. It was a long time ago. I can't remember. And the first week there, I lost 7 pounds. And I thought I was doing great, but, because, I'm not underweight. I was a lot less than I was, but in my mind, I look like I weighed about 600 pounds, which I never did, nowhere close, but I look huge to me. And so I couldn't see what everybody was so worried about, even though my clothing size kept going down, and pretty soon my daughter's clothes started to fit me. I still thought I was massive. And so everybody was just worried about nothing. Well, being in the treatment center saved my life and made me realize that you can be just as sick and be overweight and have this. And sometimes, even if you're overweight and you don't eat a lot, you still don't lose weight. A lot of times yo-yo dieting will destroy your metabolism and make it extremely hard to lose weight. And I spent most of my life not eating, and then, oh my gosh, I'm starving, I have to eat. So then I eat a lot for several months in anticipation of the next diet. So I'd gain weight, and then I'd go on a diet for a few days, and then I can't do this, I'm starving, and then I'd eat again for a few months. So that can really do a number on your metabolism.
So that's why you're doing the book, right?
I want people to know that just because I belong to a lot of groups on Facebook, and a lot of women say, my doctor is congratulating my weight loss. She doesn't know I'm either throwing everything up or I just skip meals so I don't eat for several days. And these girls end up dying because the doctors don't recognize that you can have this at a higher weight. When doctors have to realize that when someone starts losing weight, they have to say, what are you doing? Not just, oh, yay, congratulations.
So that'll be good. You're getting a lot of work done on the book. And
I'm trying. It's not cathartic, that's for sure. It's painful to go back and live those memories.
yeah,
But
I've seen that response from you.
Oh, it's not something that my mother says, well, it'll be good for you. No, it's not good. It's painful. But I want other people and I want medical professionals to know that I've had instances where I've told doctors that I have that, and they're like, oh, okay, so have you thought about this weight loss plan? Like, did you just hear me? All you're doing is looking at my size and saying, oh, well, she must be overeating. No.
Is there anything else you want to add about that?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, and then since we're doing Tales of Wonder and just for Tales of Wonder and Dread, it's important to mention that Diane is also a huge horror movie fan. You want to talk about some of the horror movies you like?
I love horror movies. I saw one that just blew me away. It's called The Deeper You Dig. The whole movie, I was on the edge of my seat, like, what's going to happen now? What? I didn't know that was going to happen. It's just the most awesome movie. And the people who did it are so talented and so dark, and I just love them. And we watch Svengoolie every Saturday night, and I love it when Creature from the Black Lagoon comes on. I don't know if that's really horror.
Yeah, it was for the time.
Yeah, but and I love Psycho. I wish I could go back and watch it not knowing the ending like I do now. Kind of disappointing that I already know, but it's still good to watch. But just horror movies are just great. I love Gamera. I don't know, is that horror?
The first one I think qualified as horror.
Yeah,
maybe the
Gamera.
second one.
I
Then
love
they
that.
sort of went to more Japanese superhero almost. But,
yeah, that's true.
But it was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so. I can't think of anything.
Okay, well, then that's it for this time. Just remember you can get Spooky Houses at lulu.com, lulu.com/spotlight/strange sound. No, it's not easy. It's kind of counterintuitive. And that's it for this time. Thanks for tuning in, folks. And
thanks for listening.
See you soon. Spooky Ventures is the home for spooky content and spooky merchandise on the web. Check it out today at spookyventures.com. And remember, always keep it spooky.